Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. I'm Mr. Pelican. I'm running for Commander-in-Chief of Abbotsford to open the city's books. When Darren Braun, Henry's son, showed the collaborating of council in his house to win decisions over the general public, right there and then, Abbotsford residents and myself went to the best, the Mission RCMP. Henry had his brother on the police, he had Mark Warkentine, he had city councils with him, the establishment, Vicky Holtz. The whole rat bag was in the box. Ed Fast, Mike DeYoung, everybody, to win decisions and fraud Abbotsford taxpayers. The Cooper's Farm, they ran their signs and everything. It was Darren Braun, but Henry escalated it. He decided to take the law in his own hands and try to end my life, then use his contacts through the city electoral office and everybody to block a democracy in election. Thanks to the RCMP, the Abbotsford men and women, we do not know how many are dirty. They have to be let go, and we got to rebuild. I showed you Barreltown Waterworks that I grew up, but I also showed you that I worked for many big developers, real big developers. Mike Dakota built the North Shore Pier to the C-Bus and everything. I showed you Jake's Contracting in here. When I ran a video, they packed up and fled because $76 million went missing. Out of the $76 million, you could have took that money and split it down and gave it to the farmers. There was no pre-steps or work. There was no Ditch and Dike Committee step back in and reinstated. There was no dialogue with the farmers. They broke the farmers and they pushed them just like Henry did them homeowners when he threatened them to knock them homes off the mountain and everything. He was excluding them out of the city. When Ross took over, all he was Henry's little baby face, so Henry could fire the rifle off his shoulder. When I showed you Jake's Contracting and was doing what he was doing was illegal, the jobs weren't going to tendering, they weren't going to bidding. He had friends and friends and friends. Henry used the Abbotsford police to run roughshod on me like he did Councillor Mogill because he wanted that city so bad. We have to go after him. Let me tell you what the problem is. Henry stands to pull a lot of big people down. Probably up even in David Eby's office, and they're protecting him very, very well, and they're using the Abbotsford police to shield it. You ain't gonna stop it. When Jake's Contracting packed up and left here, they didn't finish the wall. Jake's Contracting didn't have a ribbon cutting, they didn't have a ceremony cutting, they didn't have the news here, they didn't have nothing. From that end up there, the wall, all the way up to Barreltown here to the floodgates, nothing was done. Nothing was done. They came in here, they hauled the sand in, and they charged. Then they hauled the gravel in, and they charged. Then they took the sand out, and they charged. And they took the gravel out, and they charged. They were ripping off Abbotsford residents. And then we got a few little shitty little pumps. David Eby came in here, and he didn't cut a ceremony ribbing either. He came in and probably said, I need my Lamborghini. Who's got that money? Forensic audits with Darren Braun, the economic development officer, would show who was who owns companies, and who was rewarding and that. That is why jobs go to tendering. And this wasn't being done. There is so much in Abbotsford, especially on small business and the flood victims. The golf course here, for instance, in Abbotsford, Fraser Green Golf Course, here in Abbotsford was wiped right out. Its restaurant and everything. It holds functions for the losers out of the Abbotsford City and the Chamber of Commerce, and they didn't help it. They never helped it. It puts all these functions on and everything. But you would figure that the gravel and stuff they stole from here in the sand could go to Fraser Green's golf course. It didn't. Now they want to go after these people that want to build up their banks and their property from the floods. But the city don't want him to help it because Ross wants his cut. This is going to stop under my mayorship. This is going to stop immediately. We're going to find the $78 million. We're going to give the farmers their money. We're going to split it. We're going to financial audit. And we're not going to let Abbotsford police run roughshod to shut people's mouth and beat them in the corner. Then we're going to go in and we're going to lower your taxes. So let me tell you, the farmers got to look for this year, your taxes going up. Don't worry. After all the devastation you suffered, We got babyface Ross Siemens. Henry, just hold up, Ross. Hold up, Ross. Hold up. Under my mayorship, your taxes are going to be cut, and that's going to offset all the hurt that you have had suffered in everything. But we're going to get money in your back pocket to get you up and running. You tell me, how much money did Jake's Contracting walk out the door of Abbotsford on Abbotsford residents? This was unnecessary here. Nobody needed a bloody wall. Nobody needed nothing here. It was they were going to come way out here in the forest and they were going to set up their illegal operation to hose BC taxpayers, the province, and to hose Abbotsford. Then what happened was Henry from the back doors with his establishment boys, they blended it all in. So nobody knows how much the province and how much the city did. There was no ledgers, no books, no nothing. It's going to take me 100th of a second to find it. This is what the big developers trained me for, and this is what I was taught. So I would ask Alex Mitchell to stop bloody flying around on Brad Viss's lap. Stop saying you care about small businesses in residence, because you don't. It's an establishment that was using these institutions to elect themselves, and you could see it. Mark Warkentine was the former Chamber of Commerce, then sent to the police board by Henry and his boys, then picked from the police board to cheat in a municipal election over other councillors. In London, England, and some of his staff and his people that were running Abbotsford First, the slate, got up and did his speech, put his signs on Ron Funk's property illegal, 100% illegal, to order to help the developer fill my pocket so I can win the election. Then on Cooper's Farm. Abbotsford's going to open that. We're not going to play these dirty games on residents. But I'm going to tell you this. After Henry's attempted murder and the threats on my life, when Darren Brown showed me, I went to the best, the RCMP. The RCMP also figured that the Abbotsford police must be GPSing my phone. The day they threatened me that I was in Abbotsford and disturbed the peace, I left this phone in my home. Then when I came back, I picked up the phone out of my home and went to interview Steve Schaefer that was running in the federal Conservative election for the nomination. And the Abbotsford police found this beeping. Then they came to me and made accusations that I was in town. They had many witnesses in this. That there is a violation of of your rights. That there tells everybody that when the Abbotsford police are tracing you, they're using your phone number that's tied to the license plate and be GPSing your phone. And then they figure where this phone goes, they can find me. When I come out here on the dikes, you saw a few weeks ago, I did a video. As soon as that phone moves, they're tracing this phone. And this is what they were doing. We're going to stop this. We're going to bring the best in. We're going to get the RCMP in here, but we're going to help the farmers. On May 6th, this loser, Ross Siemens, he's having a mayor breakfast. He didn't have a sit down with the farmers, the Mackenzie Bog people. Now I understand from some of the Mackenzie Bog people after my video, they're going to have a quick meeting on the 27th. They're going to quickly try to get this done. On the May 6th, Ross, his team now is phoning everybody. Can you please buy a ticket? We don't want Ross to show up there without support. So that means Ed Fast, you better buy your ticket. Mike DeYoung better buy his ticket. Henry's friends better buy his ticket. Jake's Contracting better buy his ticket. The Abbotsford Police Chief, Colin Watts, and also Paul Walker better buy his ticket. Ron Funk better buy his ticket so you could show Ross has got great support. Henry Brown was running this city and his own son opened the door. But Henry Brown started to threaten residents. He started to block them from the city, and you can see it. The farmers had no dialogue. They have no sit down. They've been totally cut out, and all they've been arguing and after is this money. We need the money for the dikes, and you can see it. Brad Viss is riding his Mission, Harrison, and that side. And he's not one time in Mission support the Chamber of Commerce, support the RCMP, or support anything in Mission. All he does is hang in a riding that's not his. It's run by Suk Bengal into the establishment with libs like Alex Mitchell and everybody else because the establishment made him. Let me tell you what happened. When Brad Viss knew, and he was Ed Fast's secretary, knew that Ed was going to get in trouble covering for Henry, he made an open threat. to call the RCMP, and he was going to put me in the Huskow in order to help Ed Fast, the EDA that sits on Ed Fast's riding and now Suk Mangel's riding, stood up and made sure that they were witnesses thanks to the RCMP. So I will ask my BC Conservatives, which one BC is probably going to find out, where the hell is the 76 million, and why didn't the golf courses and small businesses get representation, and why ain't this happening in Abbotsford? Why isn't it not happening? Why ain't they allowed to take the dirt and the soil and build it up, and we're going to have this? They're victims. You got to fast track this. You got to say, no, you're not going to get a permit. No, you don't need this, and you're going to get it in there now. They ain't. They want to strap it all because they want to fly to Ottawa again on Brad Viss's lap, Alex Mitchell, and with Kelly Green, and beg for this money. So I'm going to ask this to BC Conservatives that are running for the nomination, especially the former Mayor Bruce Behrman, where the heck is the 76 million? And what the heck's been done in here? Nothing. Somebody got a big, juicy back pocket full, and I'm going to tell you this. When Jake started this job, we watched them. They had one flagger, one guy standing on the shovel, and one guy on the excavator, and they probably charged for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And when they packed up and fled, they knew it was going to get flushed out. So the question my Conservatives got to ask, it was when David Eby came here. He didn't come here to stand here and take ribbons and cuts. What was he doing sneaking in the back? Did he say, you got my brown envelope for me? You got my Lamborghini for me? Did Jakes get the money out through the back door? Should have been the 76 million gone to the farmers and split between all the farmers and flood victims and get it up. And why are we for 500 million trying to move that ag center again that Pam did? Because another scam. We're going to look at all the jobs that didn't go to tendering. I'm going to tell you one was number one was the Abbotsford Police. The Abbotsford Police, Darren Brown showed, and developers already knew that you could retrofit. That means put another story on top. But Henry saw a way, in the name of sympathy, bigger police and bigger this, to hose out the 80 million. Then the 20 million cost overrun, we're going to decide who's done that. And we got Abbotsford councillors and mayor and MPs and former people. Nobody's taking pictures. They're all fleeing. And we got Police Chief Colin Watts begging, please, Suki, please, Suki. So I want to do this today, because everybody knows that I'm running for Commander-in-Chief to open it, because that'll stop the threats. I'm going to give open invitations to Colin Watts' wife and family. I'm going to give them to Ross Siemens' wife. I want you to come down. I want you to see the damage Henry done. I want you to talk to the victims. And everybody was threatened. So that way you can have the upper on Ross and all them and say, look, I want a divorce, buddy. I want to take my half and get out, because when the federal government comes with these people and these victims, you're going to lose it all because it was organized crime. And I'll give them women and your families that open invitation, and you could talk to the EDA, you could talk to the pastors, or you could even talk to John Rustad was at her house. You could talk to all of them. What happened, ladies and gentlemen, was this. No one knew they were in the house because the RCMP did the bait and switch. They said stand alone with no endorsements, and they'll think you're a nobody to carry out the abuse. Henry Brown has to and must go in cuffs, and he's going to pull a lot of people down. And you can see it. I'm live. Barreltown Waterworks. I want the $76 million, BC Conservatives, and one BC needs to start going after it. They need to say, when are the RCMP going to open the books into Jake's contracting and the $76 million that walked out in Barreltown? Live. Did it go up the river in the canoe?